G'day folks, Greg Budd from Bud's Baits here. Welcome to the African Lure Craftsman. In the ensuing episodes, we'll be taking you along while we design and handcraft timber lures and hopefully get out into the water to use them. I've designed lures for some of the big boys in the industry and I sell my lures worldwide. I'll do my best to show you some of the hacks I've learned along the way. Stay with us and experience the wonders of casting lures to bass, giant catfish, tigerfish in Zimbabwe, which I'm fortunate to call my home, and cross borders with us as we'll target the denizens of the deep all along the African coast in magical places such as Mozambique. Through it all, I'll share a bit of my daily life and business experience, which can be quite tough in Zimbabwe at times, as we take you along to run the daily gauntlet of survival. Subscribe and click the notifications button to stay with us. Hey guys, hey girls, welcome back to another episode of the African Lure Craftsman. Today we are going to continue with the Garfish build. This is going to be a swim bait. I've had some good thoughts about this and I'll go into those just now. But firstly I want to say to those Americans out there, Happy Independence Day. Happens to be my birthday as well, so good on you. And to those who aren't American, just happy any day. Happy Greg's birthday, no, whatever. What I've done, I'm sure you can see there, is I've given it some further shaping. It's taken on a very nice shape. I've thinned it a bit here. I might even thin it some more, but we don't need to do that right now. And I've gone to my drawing here, which is on the table, and I've actually partitioned it as well into the segments I want. So I don't know if you guys can see that there. We're now going to do a 6-piece swim bait. So the reason I've segmented the bait like this is because of a couple of reasons. One, I think that it'll swim better and we want to get that very sort of like S-type snake action in the water. And two, it's for structural integrity of things like the fin mounts. So the fins, bearing in mind, we're going to have made out of polycarbonate. We're going to carve them out of polycarbonate. The pectoral fin here, the dorsal and the anal, they're all going to be mounted into the wood. And I've chosen these positions basically because you get more integrity if I can mount that fin fully in the wood. There will be a little bit of an overlap here and there in the bottom, but that's not too important with the tail. The last hook point, and I'll go into that on the wooden body just now, is going to be on the belly, and it's probably going to be just in front of this fin here. And I'm going to actually do 3 hook points. The reason being is so I can actually select maybe 2 double hooks, 2 big trebles, two big treble hooks, or a couple of big singles, or 3 smaller trebles, something like that. I always put a hook closer to the head as well, and the reason being is because I think that a lot of fish, and let's take for instance barracuda, let's take for instance our own tigerfish, are slash predators, and they'll always try and stun a fish. They'll attack it, they'll slash it with their teeth, and they'll go for the head, roughly the head position, and they will try and stun that prey and then come back a second time and even a third or fourth time with tigerfish and then consume the prey. So we're going to be well positioned with hooks there, center and tail, and they're going to be wired through the whole body, joined to each section to the hook points, joined to each section to the hook points, and then the tail will be independent. I think the tail, it'll be pretty sturdy, but if you lose the tail, it's not a train smash. You're certainly not going to lose your fish. So let's get on with it. Before we do, I'd just like to show you guys what I got. I got some True Coat. I'd like to give a big shout out to Joe from True Glide. Very easy to deal with. Shipped a long way to Zimbabwe, but I got it and I'm very excited to be using this. Today we've had our first day of sun in probably about 2 weeks and it's been miserably cold and wet, so I haven't used anything. So for those guys waiting on lures, a couple of our subscribers, Gareth, John, Ken, your lures are here. They're about to go into the cabinet. I'm probably going to try with the new product, not with tar bender this time, see how it goes. I believe this stuff is fantastic, and don't worry, I'll probably do it on an older lure first just in case they do mess up, but I don't think it will. So very excited to be using that. Just so you know that I'm not talking nonsense, Ken, there's your little baby, 100 slick. I'm in amongst these. John, good luck with the tarpon, mate. There's your white bait 220. And Gareth, your 125 slick. Good luck off Port Shepstone there in South Africa. I hope you catch some fish on that. But that's sidetracking a bit, so let's get back to it. Firstly, what we're going to do is we're going to transfer from the tracing paper back onto the wood, and that's just so I know where that gill placement is. Then we're going to trace those gills onto the cardboard, on the Matari board. We've been through this in a previous video. This type of board, I don't normally like the white backed stuff, but I couldn't find anything else at the moment. The brown board, solid through and brown on both sides, is certainly better, but this does work, so I'm not too worried about that at the moment. And we are going to be taking all the details, sorry, a bit of a mess there, off the tracing. For Patrick out there, mate, I know I said that in the last video I was feeling a little bit kind of special because I'd been using the term caudal peduncle for the tail end of the lure. I'm going to be using the word, I wrote it down here, wait, operculum, gill cover for this one. And we are going to transfer that all into the wood, and we're then going to cut them out of cardboard and we're going to glue them on. So let's get started on that. This can be a little bit tricky, and what I usually use for that is a little bit of blue tack or sticky stuff, and make sure the tracing doesn't slip off the wood. Clean it up a bit, get that on there, get your tail positioned correctly, line it up, that's perfect, and hold it over the lure. Make sure you've got it in the right position. We had started this earlier, as you probably saw from the little bit of drawing, but I want to do the whole thing now. Got a bit of a blunt pencil here, so I can cover more of a area and definitely get the image on the other side. And then we'll go over it, and we'll make sure, this is where it does get a bit difficult, tracing around a curve, but not impossible. I wish I had 3 hands sometimes though. Oh, that's alright, I think we've got that on there. Let's just hope it's all there. Plenty that I can see anyway. I'll now go to a sharper pencil, which I do have here, and I'll get those details just so we can see them. It doesn't have to be exact, as I say, this is just for positioning of the actual cardboard when we glue it on. One thing I've done here as well, you'll see, is I've traced the mouth, because we are going to not fully carve in this mouth, but we're going to obviously take off a little bit of the beak structure here and give an impression of the mouth there. I don't want anything that might interfere with the swim, although it's such a small mouth I don't think it would anyway, but just to be careful. And you'll notice as well that we've got a bit of a rounded structure. On most garfish you'll get a little bit of a point there. We are allowed to have a few things a little bit different, but for most parts this will look pretty much like the real thing, I think. So there we have it. We did forget the fin, we can do that later. And let's get to the other side now and get that placement correct. What I'm going to do quickly, guys, now is just show you where I've put my approximate hook points. They'll be roughly in those positions there, but what I'm going to do quickly is do a center line, and that's quite necessary as well to get your gill structure, your gill plates, your operculum. I don't feel so sophisticated anymore saying that word, but anyway, your gill plates, it's easier, in the right positions. So to do that, a bit of a long lead on your sharpened pencil, and I just like holding it here. You can do it very quickly and very accurately. If you've shaped your wood correctly, that is, you'll see how that's going straight through the center of those holes. And I've marked my position here on the end. So there's my center line there, and I've marked my position here, and there's my center line there. So that'll give me a rough of where our center and our wire channel is going to be. It'll also give me a nice indication, and I can see where I've gone wrong already, of where the gills should be. because I'm just basically freehand drawing them as we go underneath. So let's just turn that on its side, or turn it around actually, and finish that up there. And that's pretty much right. It'll do for now anyway. And we can also finish up this section here. We've got that awfully wrong, but not a train smash. Okay, so both sides done. Eyes, gills, rough positioning. This side as well. We'll draw in the mouth momentarily on this side here, and then we can start tracing and copying or cutting at least our various parts, fins and various things to go on. Although fins, I say, won't be out of cardboard, they'll be out of polycarbonate, but certainly the gill plates and all the structure around the face there. So where we're going to now is I've just cut a piece of manageable card here, which we're going to take our detail off. Get that on now. What I'll do is I'll first fold this in half, because we always want a double detail. We want both sides, and in some cases, unless you've got thick card on hand, you want double of each plate you're doing, just to make it thicker. You can always work it back. Remember, once it's impregnated with super glue, it sands pretty easy, so that's what I like to do. Where are my tools? Yeah, that'll do. Okay, and let's get that detail right onto there. I'll do this several times because inevitably there is going to be some sort of mess up somewhere, and you'll need to replace one or two, so I just like to cut as many as possible. I'll always draw on the outsides of this. You do have a way somehow of downscaling when you're cutting out, so I always like to cut on the outside of the lines I'm drawing, and that way you try and avoid that hassle. So guys, we've got our gill plates traced onto the cardboard. I've doubled it, as we said. We've got our little pectoral fin, whatever you call those bits there. sorry to not be technical enough this time. And we're going to cut those out. We're going to double those as well, because we need a little bit of height in those so we can shape them well. And we're going to double these as well there. So let's get cutting those out. Remembering that we've got two different plates here, and I want to cut them separately so we can have a little bit of a gap, which actually on the genuine illustration or the photograph of the garfish there is. So I'm going to cut them out separately. Using the sharpest scalpel blade I've got here, or craft knife blade. While we're talking, guys, while I'm doing this, I had to take my dog to the vet this morning. This is Ralph, the little brown guy over there, and he's unfortunately got what's called DED, which is not too good and has put him in a lot of pain. DED is degenerative elbow disease, and I imagine from how it was described, it's pretty much like an arthritis. Unfortunately, they're saying there's not much they can do at his age except treat the pain. So he's just started a course of very, very expensive injections, and it's kind of helped him a bit, I can see already. So let's just hope that does him some good. Before we go any further, what I need to do is seal this lure as well. So, I mean, obviously the gill plates and all the detail which we stick on will adhere a lot better once it's sealed. Of course, I might shape it a bit more, so I'm not going to give it a thick seal at the moment, but I'm just going to cover those areas. It also secures the pencil on there, otherwise I might lose those marks. I've got my polycarbonate board here. It's got a plastic cover on it. There it is there. What I'm going to do now is the other little additional things we want, which are the fins, and we're going to trace those onto the board and then get them cut out. So let's get that done very quickly. We'll just get the rough shapes on there. We can put a lot more detail on it when we cut them out and we shape them. I will leave the bottom on that because I'm going to have to put a little bit of an extra on it, so I'm not going to trace it on there. In fact, what I'll do right now is just put the shape I need on there. And likewise with this guy. So basically we'll have that depth of polycarbonate sunken into the wood on the top and that on the bottom. So as long as we get that there, we're okay. So let's get that traced. So we've got all our bits cut out here now. We've got our gills, our gill plates. We've got our fins here on the polycarbonate board. We're going to have to leave you for today because time is getting short. So in the next episode, what I'll have done is I'll have cut these all out. I'll have shaped them. And I would have stuck the cardboard on and done the facial detail. And then we can go into the sectionalizing the bait, cutting the wire slot, forming the wire, fitting it all, and getting this bait actually looking presentable. Hope you enjoyed. If you liked what you saw, subscribe, hit like, and tune in for the next episode. Cheers for now.